Should NFL players be salty that Tony Romo is making $17 million per year?
Didn't you negotiate this CBA, Domonique Foxworth, where these players are right when Michael Thomas is looking at this and saying, how the heck is a guy who, by the way, is working 17, 18, 19 weeks a year, making more than I make with my body out here? I think the one who's saltiest might be Jim Nantz, but after that, I understand if players are looking at this and saying, this isn't any kind of reasonable when you consider this. I know the bodies in the NFL are pretty disposable. But if I told you right now there's a game tomorrow and it's a football game you want to watch, Tony Romo's not moving those ratings. He's not someone who at $17 million a year is actually going to bring that volume of audience. This was just a prestige move between ESPN and CBS trying to hire the it guy. So Tony Romo as a player at that high-paid position averaged $9 million a year. And I'm looking at this, Domonique, and the deal you guys made with a salary cap where NFL owners do not need help on fixed costs. This deal right here is Tony Romo showing you what happens when the market is actually open. You're worth twice as much as the players.
I mean, Tony Romo exists in an actual free market where there is not a union that provides antitrust protection for the essentially, which is a cartel. If we did the same thing, which I've advocated for, decertify the union and open the league up to antitrust law, we'll have the same situation. No draft, true free agency. We can get all this bread. There's also no floor on the salaries either, so might get undercut for some guys who just want to get in the league and put on the helmet.
Yeah, no, I got exactly where Michael Thomas is coming from, though, because what we're saying is, yo, there's clearly bread out here that y'all could be giving people. You're trying to limit how much bread you can give us, and then somebody's willing to give somebody all this bread to talk about us. I understand where he's coming from, even if he's just a little bit misguided. Dan just kind of touched on it, though, man, and I really hadn't thought about it. If you are Jim Nantz, you have got to be asking for the biggest raise in the world. I am the face of this. And you know why Jim Nantz is the face of that, all their broadcasts? Because Jim Nantz sound like money. Jim Nantz get up there in that blazer with that eye on it, and you tell, man, money is in the house. Jim Nantz at the Masters, money has shown up. Now money walks in the room, and Big Bank is this cat who just got here. I've been doing this for 30-something years, and now this dude who was out here throwing the footballs making more bread than me, either Jim gonna get a raise or it's gonna be tense as hell up in that booth.
And the reason why people say they like Tony Romo is exactly because he don't sound like money. He sounds like a guy you're watching a game with. That's an interesting dynamic for Jim Nantz to have to swallow. But of course, I'm with the players who I think deserve more money. But when we were negotiating that deal, I was ready to lock out. I was ready to miss checks. That's what you got to do to get that money. That aside, rather than hating on it, accept the game as it is and play it right. Some of y'all need to quit playing football right now and go straight to the booth. I'm looking at you, Baker Mayfield. You got a lot of personality. You understand offense. You can make more in the booth if you hop out right now. I'm looking at you, Richard Sherman, very smart guy. They seem to really like you. You know a lot of football. Get out of there, get in the booth, make that 17. I feel like there are plenty of guys, as much as fun as Tony Romo is, there are plenty of guys who I think would be as intelligent about the game as him and far more entertaining. Y'all need to get out the league and get this bread. And let me get a little bit too.